Hello and welcome to the Ridiculously Good VA Show with Tracy Daviero. If you are a virtual assistant or want to be one, this is the place to learn the tips and tricks you need to become a ridiculously good VA. I've been a part of the VA industry since 1998, and I'm excited to get to know you and help you build an amazing business. Let's go. Today is a very special guest episode of the Ridiculously Good VA Show. My guest today is Faith Morris, and her business is Remote Operations Partner. Faith is an operations strategist for high-achieving entrepreneurs drowning in ideas but stuck in execution. She helps business owners who feel overwhelmed by the day-to-day grind. Isn't that everybody? She helps her clients focus on what they do best and ensures that everything else runs smoothly. She has a unique story that she'll share on today's episode. We met on Threads. Everybody's over there these days. And I'm so happy to have her here with me to share her insights and expertise about working remotely with you today. So thank you so much, Faith, for being here with us today. I'm anxious to talk about your business.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. It was so nice to meet you finally, like in person.
I know it's kind of neat, right? Like we can tell everybody we met on Threads. We came
Yeah.
across each other on Threads, and so I feel like we should just give Threads a little bit of a shout out, at this point because it's so new for a lot of people. And we were just talking a little bit before we started recording about where you market your business and that kind of thing. And you didn't say Facebook, and that's clear to me because I know I see you on Threads, and I know that you do a lot of stuff there, and I love the fact that it's just so easy to have a conversation there, and that's really what the people are there for. How about you? What are you finding about it?
Yeah. I mean, I've known about Threads for a while. And I think, like many service providers or solopreneurs, social media becomes very, very overwhelming. There's so many platforms. Where do I show up? And for me, I knew Threads would be a really good platform for me because it's unfiltered and it
Yeah.
doesn't require curation. And so I have loved it. I have grown to like 500 followers in 5 weeks. I've really put my marketing efforts there since I launched. And the relationships and people I've met, especially in the service provider industry, have been incredible. I think Threads is a platform where you definitely have to do some filtering, but it's also a platform like I put out, hey, one of my goals this year is to be on a podcast. Like, is anybody interested in getting to know me or my story? And you were like one of the first people to reach out. I
Yeah.
was so grateful because we're in parallel industries and we had a
Yeah.
chat. Like, this is awesome. And I would have never had an opportunity like that from a Facebook group
Well,
or
I don't think
a
it would have come that quickly, right? And I'm the same. I'm
great.
doing this, and one of the reasons that your post kind of stood out to me, or I still don't understand algorithms in that. Like I found Threads a little hard to get off the ground whenever I first started. I'm like, I don't know
Mm,
what to do. But of course it sends you exactly what
yeah.
you're looking for. And I'm also looking to do the same thing, is to go and guest on podcasts. And so I am talking a lot about podcasts, and that is how we connected because of your question. But since then, like, you do so much stuff, and of course we talked a little while ago before when we booked this session, but and yeah, we do have parallel industries, you're right. So but I think that's a part of it, is that one of the things I try to teach VAs all the time is that getting clients and becoming a part of a community is a big part of getting clients for your business, whatever kind of service business you run, right? And I think that for me and for you, I think that Threads is moving us in that kind of direction because, like you said, you don't have to curate posts and content and all that kind of stuff. You just have to talk to people. So
Totally. And I think
yeah.
it's one of those, and I think a lot of people come to every platform looking for client acquisition, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants, that's the main goal. But I think there's a way in which your self promotion on whatever platform trumps everything. And I
Yeah.
think people forget Threads is top of funnel. Like Threads is not always going to be for the high ticket,
Yeah.
automatic, client that's going to sign. I do think Threads is so incredible for the VA space. Essentially,
Hmm.
the amount of people daily that are asking for VAs or recommendations. But again, people from Threads go to your profile, they look at your Threads profile,
Yep.
they get a sense of your personality that isn't curated like
Yep.
it is on Instagram. And I have found self-promotion. I think self-promotion is very uncomfortable to begin with. But
Yeah.
when I decided to launch my business and how I was going to self-promote myself, Threads and LinkedIn were the two platforms I chose. I'm
Yeah.
on Instagram. I just do stories.
Hmm.
But I think that was really quite vital as well. I've been through the Facebook group, I've tried that. And I
Yeah.
think it literally comes down to what works for you, but it's consistency. Where are you
Yeah.
going to show up and self-promote
Exactly.
consistently? And that's what makes a difference. And that's how I think I've
Hmm.
grown a lot on Threads. I've made a lot of awesome connections on Threads because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I say, that's the bottom line with any of it, right? We haven't even told anybody what you do yet. I think that's kind of funny, because it is a universal, like that when you're using something to get visibility for your business, to meet people, to do your networking, to do all that kind of thing. It has to be a place that feels good to you, that you can be authentic, that you can show up. Like you say, consistency is everything. And I'm the same. It's like I'm on Instagram. I still haven't figured it out because I don't like to create content. I'm not a big fan. That's why I do a podcast. And
It's
that's
so
why I,
hard.
go and have conversations with people on Threads. So,
And I think every platform has rules,
yeah.
and it's a game, and it's choose what do you like. I have chosen. I'm
Yeah.
not going to play the Instagram game.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the repercussions of that, but I'm
Yeah.
going to play by the rules on the other platforms and give it a really hot go for a minimum of 3 months
Yeah.
before I change anything up.
Yeah. And that's a really good strategy as well. Like, I always tell people, go where your clients are. And the reality is clients are everywhere. So whatever you give your focus to, that's where they're going to show up. They're going to find you when you're doing it in the right way, right? So just because Instagram, if you think your clients are on Instagram and it doesn't feel like you can be there, or it's not a place that you instinctively
Totally.
just wake up and show up on every day, then that's still probably not the best place for you to be, right? So
And I
yeah.
think as well, this has just become a podcast, just
Mhm.
like repping for Threads.
Yeah.
Is that, one other thing besides a client acquisition standpoint is Threads gives you an opportunity, if you let it, to make these kinds of connections where ultimately
Yeah.
when I see, potentially Canadian, I say Canadian because you're in Canada, but a
Mhm.
Canadian business owner like, hey, I'm looking for a VA, blah, 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 where I'm like, I start to tag you because I've
Yeah.
created a relationship with you. So I'm like,
That's right.
hey, Tracy owns an agency. She helps
Yep.
train V. Like that's where those relationships
Yeah.
come very, very come in handy. And like
Yeah.
it's not actually all about acquisition. Acquisition and nurturing relationships go hand in hand. And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
where referrals and word of mouth, that doesn't start unless you start to build rapport with people. You get on
That's
calls like
right.
this to get to know you. I want to know more about your story. I personally want to vet people that I can recommend that I know do really great work and have the assets to back it up, right?
I love that because I see so much in the VA space. I see it a lot, of people saying, "What do you do? I'd like to recommend you to other people." And I'm like, I would never recommend somebody unless I could vet
Correct.
them. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, but on that, you say you want to get to know somebody. I want you to tell us about you now. You're right. We're not just repping Threads here, we're repping you. And so tell us a little bit about how, I mean, we've talked about this. I could tell your story a little bit and we'll tell a little bit more. But yeah, tell us a little bit about how you came to be what you do and how Remote Ops Partner came to be.
Yes, great question. So yes, I'm a remote operations partner. My passion lies in helping solopreneurs or small agencies um, have the resources and support to help them grow. So I support the overwhelmed solopreneur who's ready to scale, but they don't have the people power to do so. And they need somebody who can shapeshift, learn systems and their operations quite quickly, and help manage internal and external projects.
That's awesome.
Remote, my story is convoluted, but
I know, but it's a good story. So that's why
yeah,
we're here.
I moved back from Australia. I was living in Australia for 8 years. I was originally in aged care and disability coordination. I moved back to the US with my husband and two daughters. And the plan was for me to get a full time job and to help my husband get his stonemasonry business off the ground. I got chewed up by the traditional job market, as I like to say, and decided to fully stop traditional job hunting after 9 months. And I kind of went all in helping my husband start his business, which ended up being, we turned it profitable within 6 months. I ended up being the COO of this masonry business.
Hmm.
Uh, I was the social media manager, the community manager, the bookkeeper, the customer success. lead gen, marketing. I did everything,
You
which
did everything
now we're
except handle the bricks, right?
literally when everyone's like, yeah, he's the stonemason, I'm everything.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I'm a self-taught, I say I'm a self-taught entrepreneur in a lot of ways. When I was traditional job hunting, nobody would take a chance on me. I knew that I had a lot of transferable skills, which I'm sure a lot of VAs feel the same. They're like, I'm coming from, a teaching background or other backgrounds, and I know I have these skills that I can use in this role, but nobody's willing to take a chance on me. And that's the position I found myself in. And your confidence can only take a hit so much. Like
Yes.
I made it to like 7 final round interviews out of like 12 grueling processes to only not get it. And so when I made the decision to fully stop, I found myself, we've moved here with no family and no community, right? Sorry, we have family here, but like we had no friends,
Mm-hmm.
no community. So I found myself going to networking events. I went to a conference. I got into the online space a bit, and I started meeting solopreneurs again, who coincidentally, just from organic word of mouth, like, oh, they wanted to scale. So I was helping them scale. And so there was 2 women that I ended up working with last year. One was a Pinterest agency owner, and the other was a community builder. And so same situation, were looking to grow, but needed the people power. They needed somebody who could do tick tasks, but also help with strategy and consult. And so I was like, wow, okay, obviously there's some kind of need here. And while this is all happening, I'm growing our masonry business. Okay. So I'm super busy, but I know I have these skills. And ultimately, the only piece missing was branding myself, right? Physically branding myself, creating a website, getting photos done, and self-promoting.
Right.
So at this point, people know kind of what I do, but like I'm not advertised it. I'm not in client acquisition. I'm just kind of in the back end. And somewhere in the fall of last year, 2024, I felt like I lost control. I wasn't driving the ship, where I was like, this is crazy. Like I have my own LLC, but I'm not driving the ship anymore, and I'm not happy, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not doing physically or mentally well. And something's got to give. And so at that point, I decide, okay, I'm going to go all in. And when I say I'm going to do something, I do it, and I do it really well. So I worked with a copywriter in the fall. I hired a Squarespace website builder who also built my husband's website. Her name is Anna. She's amazing, assisted by Anna. You should go check her out if you don't know her. She built my Squarespace site. I had a friend slash mentor take professional photos of me. I made my logo in AI, right? Like
Yeah.
the bare minimum that I needed to do, low hanging fruit that I could afford. I wish
Yep.
I could afford $10,000 of branding. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but when I was working with our copywriter and we were trying to figure out, okay, what name works? How do I explain what I do? I don't believe I'm a VA. I
Yep.
don't believe I'm an EA, and I'm not an OBM. And what we came up with the name Remote Operations Partner,
Yeah.
because one value is like, yeah, I want to be able to work when I want and where I want, right? I have family in Australia. I want to be able to work all over the world. And so having that name of like that automatically cancels out a lot of people,
It
right?
really does. Yeah.
It does. I wanted partnership. I wanted to
I
be,
was
yep,
gonna
I want
say
to work.
that's the other one for sure. Yeah.
Yes. I want to work alongside people. Something that's really unique about the way that I work is I come into your systems. So I host a client portal in Notion, but ultimately I'm saying, look, let's come in. I'm going to come into your systems. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to audit or clean up or give you recommendations in your systems. I'm not going to force you to change systems. Like that's not helpful for anybody. And also, not everybody is good with certain systems, right? Like I had somebody that we tried to move into Notion, didn't really work.
Yeah.
She lives and breathes in Google Drive. Great. So let's figure out what automations can be done in here, because this is your bread and butter and you're not going to
That's
change,
right.
and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big part of it, where I want to work alongside you. I want to come in with you. Um, and ultimately, I'm an operations strategist. Like I'm beyond a task ticker. So yeah, we
Yeah.
came up with the name remote operations partner, which I'm loving.
It's
Um,
awesome because it really does describe exactly what you do. And when you talk about coming into the client space, I did that too. And I didn't do it purposefully. I just kind of went, I don't have a project man. Like I used a program called GQs to manage my own
okay.
stuff. It's a super simple task manager that, goes with Google Drive. And so I wasn't bringing my clients into this big project management system or anything like that. And so, and oftentimes the clients that I was working with were at a level that they had something in place already, Or to your point, and I think this is the most important point, is they had something that they were using. Maybe they weren't using 100% efficiently because, like you say, you can go in and audit and fix and say, do this, do this, do that. But it really, that's what I found most helpful, was that if I came to where they were, if they already had something in place, then we worked with that, because that meant there was less learning in between the two of us, right?
Right.
And so it was like, yeah, for sure, we'll use your system. So I really like that. And I think that, first of all, from my perspective as a VA, whenever I did that, I learned a whole lot more about a whole lot of other systems, because they're all essentially the same anyway. Even
Totally.
though I tell VAs, don't try to learn every system before you ever get a client, right? You can't possibly ever be, which CRMs should I learn? Which email marketing should I learn? And you just get in there and you just do it, and that's it.
Yeah.
But you had a lot of experience leading up to that to bring in the ops section of it. And, so I think that
Yeah.
that's important to note as well.
Yeah. And I would say, just to piggyback off that, absolutely, like, use what you already
Yeah.
know. And just to give an example, like, I have used Honeybook for over a year, but I had to learn how to use that. And
Yeah.
I went into my business, like, when I formally launched myself, being like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should turn to Moxie, and I was like, no, Faith,
Yeah.
just use this for now. It is
Yeah.
okay. And you've
Yeah.
already paid for the year. Like, don't try to change, because also when you get onto things like Threads and different social media, everybody's got something to say about everything. And it takes one person to be
Absolutely.
like, you should change. It's amazing. And I get
Hmm.
in and I'm like, oh, should I? Like right now I'm in like an air, people are talking about Airtable, and I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
Air. And again, I have a Notion client portal that's working for me right now. When it is
Hmm.
time to build out something else, I will. But truly, don't spend money on a
Yeah.
million tools. It's not
No.
worth it.
No.
Get into someone's system, learn as you go, and always up front, there's more time as you're learning.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's a one-time,
That's
hit,
what I
not
always
gonna
think
be
too. Yeah.
ongoing.
Yeah.
Like, I took a hit. I spent
Yeah.
hours figuring stuff out in Honeybook, but now I don't, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I highly, I totally recommend that as well.
And the other thing too, like people say, what do I charge a client for? Do I charge them for this? Do I charge them for that? I did the same as you, where if I knew that this was something that was going to benefit me to move forward, then I did the training myself. But if there were, like, if a client needed me, like when I started using Keep, or it was Infusionsoft back in the day. We went to a conference. I was at a conference with a whole lot of my clients, and there were 300 people at the conference. And Infusionsoft at the time was a sponsor of the conference, and so their big coach, who was hosting this event, she had a special deal for them, right? So 5 of my clients signed up that day with a system I had never used before. And I'm
Mm,
like, what do we do? And so 5 of them signed up, and one of them paid someone to come in, like an advisor, right? We paid her, I don't know, $1,000 or something like that, to teach the two of us what we needed to know. And then I learned the rest of it. But my wonderful one client, I used her $1,000 to help my other clients. Like, that wasn't up to her to do that, but it,
yes.
it benefited me. So I'm like, how much more time can I spend on this? Because these guys want me to learn it on my own, right? So
Yeah.
there's so much to learn. Like I say, they're so similar, and AI helps us a lot, right? Like if you say, oh, between Notion and XYZ, what are the differences? What are the main differences? You can get the answers that you need to be able to move. and
Totally.
and YouTube's amazing, so
Yeah, and I'm a very big fan of bringing in experts where need be. And, like,
yeah.
again, especially in my field, in your field,
Hmm.
VAs will often be asked of things that maybe aren't in that scope of work. Or
Hmm.
I think sometimes people think, especially VAs, are unicorns. Like, we'll
Yeah,
do
you
it.
can do
Like, it's
everything.
crazy. Like, it's not a
Well,
thing.
because a lot of VAs will try to do everything, but
Correct.
that's not always good advice. Yeah.
But again, things like, we keep referring back to Threads, but when you're like, I don't know how to meet these people that I could refer, that's where Threads is a really great place. And
Yeah.
it's, hey, your client, let me tell you what clients respect. Clients love somebody they can go to, that they have like a preferred provider list. I know
Yes.
that people love coming to me to ask me for subcontractor
Yep.
recommendations. Now that I'm in the service provider world, oh, you
Hmm.
need somebody to build a Squarespace. You need somebody. I have a list, a
They
vetted list,
trust you. Yeah, they
and
trust
and
your.
that
Yeah.
is invaluable. So build that list so that when your client does get to that next level of like, hey, I actually want to upgrade our CO, our onboarding. I want to upgrade. You may not be an expert. That is totally okay. Great. I
Yeah.
want to bring somebody in. And actually, that's when you can start learning about white label relationships and
Yep.
that's all things ongoing, but so many possibilities
Yeah.
when, people may be looking for a unicorn and you have to say, no, actually,
But
I'm an expert in this.
but you kind of are a unicorn because you're finding them the solution and that's all they
Correct.
really want, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, but I do agree. And I think that it's so important but you have to build those relationships with people and you have to understand what they're like, what their values are, and, how they work with their clients. It can't just be, oh, I know Tracy, she does, she works with Keep. You should
Correct.
call her. Well, what if that's a bad, what if that's a bad referral for your client? You don't want to do that either. So I think that's important.
Yeah.
So how did you sort of like move into with the clients that you're working with now? How did you move into the strategy space more so than like if somebody thought you were a virtual assistant, how did you say, no, I don't do that, but this is what I do? How does that come across with you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it does still happen. So I think there's a few things. My website is obviously my main marketing tool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting because right now, between even the last time we spoke and now, I feel like I've been through a whirlwind
I
where
know.
I
Yeah.
am now actually redefining my offers because of what's come through my way.
Yeah.
So essentially, my website, I offer 3 different tiers of support. I am moving solely just to executive level partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
I do work on a retainer. And so where I see my website as one aspect of like, yep, you can know about this, probably a bit broad. I have found through conversation, again, through threads, through the DMs, the people that have commented on certain, that's kind of where those conversations are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you do this? Do you not do that? But I would say majority, like people either one, know they want to be paid, like want to pay hourly, which I don't fit into that mold.
Yeah.
And then some people go to my website, they can look at systems that I've used and say, oh, she knows this system, she doesn't know this system. But I would say a really big, probably the biggest part of that comes off of a discovery call. It
Yeah.
happens in person, if not in
Mm-hmm.
like threads and Instagram DMs,
Mm-hmm.
because most of the people coming to me are in brain dump mode,
Yeah.
right? They're so busy. And now, to be completely honest, so far I've had 4 inquiry calls, four
Yeah.
really discovery calls. One has converted full dream client. Two, these are actually 2 from threads. They were not great fits for me. One genuinely needed a VA. And I told her that on the call. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, what you actually put out on threads isn't what you actually need. And I think a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially looking for VAs or people like me, everyone's like, I think I'm ready for this, but I'm
Yeah.
unsure. They need to talk it through, but they
Absolutely.
have to like you enough. They have to like your page enough to do the actual inquiry.
Yeah.
And that's where social proof comes into being. So for whatever reason, they've come to my website. I've passed the test of like, oh, this girl looks legit. She's worth talking to. And then when I get on a call with them, I'm more able to discern, like, yes, I have an inquiry form and it's very broad and quick because I don't
Mm-hmm.
want a long inquiry form to deter people from chatting with me.
Right.
But really, that hour discovery call is like, okay, actually, you need something more or less. And I had
Yeah.
my call, I said, I'm too expensive for you.
Yeah.
You need a much smaller scale VA, somebody who you probably need only about 5 hours a month, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I recommend you. The other person that I interviewed that wasn't a good fit, what her inquiry was, hey, I need help with lead gen. I need help with some project management stuff. I need some help with ads. All she needed was a digital marketing agency. She just
Yeah.
didn't know how to articulate that. And
Well,
so I was
because they don't, to your point, they don't even know that they exist,
like,
right?
correct.
It's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm coming to you because I trust you and I know that you can, point me in the right direction. They probably still would love to work with you. All 4 of those people would probably love to work with you,
Yeah.
especially after having a conversation with you. I've also been in those shoes where it's like, no, I'm not at the, you're not at the level I need you to be,
Yeah.
or your budget's not enough, or you don't need enough stuff, and but I think that that's kind of what I wanted to get to in this episode with you in this interview is talking about how we value ourselves and how we're confident behind the things that we're telling people that we
Yes.
can do and the things that we will do and that we won't do, right? I think that that's the, VAs have to come to that. All service professionals have to be able to say, I can help you with this or I don't. And I've had people contact me for private coaching, which is my highest level, and I'm like, I can't help you. I've had people sign up and we start to work together and I've refunded their money because they're not they're not the right kind of person,
That's amazing. Not many people would
they're
do
not
that.
getting the advantage. And I'm like, I'm giving you your money back because this is not what you need. This is not
Yeah.
getting you, to where you want to go. And so I think that a lot of people understand those things as the longer that they're in business. And so I think the cool thing for you, and the thing that really struck me about you, like not in just our threads conversations, but as we've met, I think we met about a month ago, um, is that you haven't been in your own business for a tremendously long period of time, but you've drawn on all the experience that you've had since Australia, right? And so you looked for right off the bat, and I'm just going to summarize you. Like I said, you came here with skills that you knew were transferable, and that there was a disconnect in between the people that you were talking to try to get hired because they had a box of what you had to fit into. And so with the box, with you fitting into that, not fitting into that box, like you
Mm.
said something, you had 7 final interviews. Like, oh my god, your confidence would be shot after that. But the business world is different. We get to make those choices, and we get to build ourselves in the way that we want, and we get to fit in with our clients, and we get to help our clients be exactly what they want to be. And it's not easier than getting a job, but it
No,
certainly, all of that, even that job search process became, helped you become who you are, I think. Like,
totally.
and I love that you're bringing that, and that you talk about that, and that, that you talk about it every day. And I think that that's really cool. So
It's really funny you say it because I was talking with my sister the other day and we were talking about networking. And so I'm currently, when I decided to launch my business formally 6 weeks ago, I made commitments around how I want to spend my time, networking, communities, all those things. And networking, quote unquote, intentional networking has been life changing for me. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, she's in corporate America and she has two friends that are currently job hunting and oh, they dread it and networking." I was like, yeah, but this is the difference. When it's your own business, you're networking for your own business, you're like so excited to talk about it. I don't find that
mhm.
draining at all. I
Yeah,
find it exciting. I have authority in this space. I'm chatting with other people that are in the same world as me. You're not networking to get someone to like you, to refer you to
that's
somebody else
right.
for a job interview.
Yep.
That's difference. I said, this is not, and that's what I don't, not that I don't like the word networking, but I'm not just networking, or there's, a negative connotation with like coffee chats.
There is, for sure. Ugh, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
but let me tell you, when you are really intentional about it, I joined part of my, marketing strategy that I set myself up for 3 months. I joined a paid community
Mhm.
of established female founders. It has been the most life-giving community in the 6 weeks that I've been in it. And it was a financial investment. It was over
Yeah,
$1,000 to join.
yeah.
It's called Entrepreneurs. It's been incredible for me. And the coffee chats and things that I have had have been life changing. And I think when I tell people now, like I have no shame because I got rejected. I'm so hard into rejection, right?
Yeah, yeah,
An
exactly.
offer, but like you have to step in with some kind of authority
Yeah,
when you decide, okay, I'm going to do this. Whether, and I think sometimes people, the VA, like, yeah, you're a VA. Like you're not below anybody. You're not like, you are a VA. You own your own business.
that's right.
How you step into that is a make or break. And you
Yeah,
can see that in the online space. You can see that. And that's the way people will talk about you. And I think, don't let getting hung up on certain name. Like I think I was so stressed about, what do I call myself? My business, my company,
it's
my
a
LLC is
big
called Faith.
conversation.
My LLC is Faith Morris LLC. I
Yeah,
put it a year ago. There's no fancy name.
yeah,
I know I can rebrand whenever I know. I know I can, like, I'm
yeah,
not worried about, those are the small details.
yeah,
Done is better than perfect.
yeah, yeah.
That's what I told myself. That's what I'm living off of. And if somebody wants to judge me for the way my website looks, I'm like, go for it. I don't
Yeah,
care. I
yeah,
beat my own drum.
yeah. I love it. I love it. So you guys, you have to see why Faith made the list, right? Like I don't do a lot of interviews. I'm trying to start doing one every month now moving forward because I run into people like you. And there's not a lot of people like you. I don't want to, put
I
you
know.
put you in as, oh yeah, there's a giant pile of you. But I see these people, I come across them, and just with your energy and your confidence, and like you said, you're stepping into what you're doing with authority. And those things really, really just hit me so quickly in the very short period of time that we started connecting. And so I want to be able to share that with my audience, because I think that it's the thing we lack, right? Like, I'm the confidence coach for virtual assistants. Why? Because confidence hits in every area of our business. We don't have confidence in something, we
Yeah.
question our decisions, we take too long to do stuff, we research and research and research again, like it just, we don't make the moves that we need to, we don't step up into the communities that really do need us and value us and light us up, like the one that you've, the one that you've joined. We don't do those kinds of things because we think we're just a VA sometimes, or that,
Right.
that's not our role, or that's not where we need to be. And so mm,
Everybody compares themselves to
yeah,
what,
yeah,
and especially like, oh my gosh, this person's making 6 figures. They say they make 10K month. And like, first of all, that's not always true. The internet
yeah,
is one-sided. And let me tell you, like, I'm not a millionaire.
yeah.
I took a hit to be very financially tight for a while, and I'm still
Hmm.
building. You're going to be building for a while, and that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Nobody's making 10K months. I don't even know where that freaking phrase came from. I hate it so much.
I know. Yeah,
Everybody has different levels of what success means to them, and the
that's right.
comparison
Yeah,
of the online space can be literally anxiety driven, and
yeah.
it's the worst. Protect your space, find people that support you and
Yeah.
want to like support your journey, and please contact me. I'm more than welcome to be a sounding board for any of your
Hmm.
students that want to chat as well.
Awesome. Awesome. So, okay, let's just wrap it up. I know we could talk all day. And we probably will at some point. So how can people get in touch with you and learn? You've mentioned Threads, you've mentioned LinkedIn. Tell us
Yeah.
about how to get connected with you, and how we can learn more about what you do as well. So,
Yes. So I have an Instagram. I only do stories, but from my Instagram, you can find me on Threads. I say go to Threads if you want to get an idea of my personality, a little bit more about how I've self-promoted on there. But I think gives the best vibe of me as a
yeah.
person. And LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. You can see a little
Okay.
bit of my history. Again, similar but different content on there. And my website is probably the best
Awesome.
three places to, yeah.
And your website URL is? Yep.
www.faithemorris.com. And
Okay,
like, feel
perfect.
free, DM me on Instagram, send me an
Yep,
email, whatever is your comfortable platform of communication. I love
exactly.
a voice memo. Feel free to voice memo me.
Perfect.
But yeah, I'm all ears.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here. I know our time is up. So, like I say, just wanted to be able to have you share a little bit of your story, a little bit about how you help your people and how you're starting to build your business, but mostly just to showcase your level of confidence and authority that you're bringing to your business, because I think that you do know your stuff. You know it. You knew it when you got here, and that's what it's all about. That's the best way to showcase yourself. And it's not about self-promotion, it's about being confident in what you can provide to others, and being able to say yes to some people and no to other people is all part of it. And I think you just wrapped it all up so well in what you shared with us today. So thank you so much, and I hope all of our VAs get in touch with you, and any of the entrepreneurs that are listening can connect with you as well, and see if they can have one of those awesome discovery calls with you,
Yeah.
and find out how you can help them for sure. So
Thanks so much for having me, Tracy.
no problem. You have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you so much, Faith, for being here with us today. If you want to reach out or to connect with Faith, you can find her on Threads and LinkedIn. We'll put her details in the show notes for this episode. And you can also visit her website at faithemorris.com. She's a hoot, as you can see, but she also is really good at what she does. And she does a really terrific job of connecting with people. That's how we got together. And so I wholeheartedly recommend that you go and check her out. And thanks again for being here today. And I hope you enjoyed that guest episode of the Ridiculously Good VA Show. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Ridiculously Good VA Show. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. For more great resources for your VA business, visit my website at yourvamentor.com. I'll see you back here next time.